An FBI agent spent her entire life being controlled by a demonic doll. Apparently, Earth got invaded by aliens because we were just too loud. Well, I'm gonna ruin 10 different horror movies for you with the craziest horror movie fan theories out there. Let's start with Longlegs. Longlegs has this FBI agent named Lee, who's weirdly good at catching serial killers. Suspiciously good. And people notice that she acts less like a person and more like someone's remote control car. And it turns out there might be a reason for that. So the movie's set in the 90s and Lee's investigating this killer called Longlegs, played by glorious, beautiful Nicolas Cage doing whatever that f***ing thing was. He leaves coded messages and creepy dolls at crime scenes, you know, standard serial killer stuff. But then the twist hits. When Lee was a kid, Longlegs showed up at her house. Her mom made a deal with the devil to save them. And here's where it gets weird. Lee just lived above this guy for years. He was in the basement doing black magic and making dolls, and she had no idea. Now, people think one of those dolls was made to actually look like Lee, and inside it there's this metal orb filled with demonic whatever. The theory says that the orb was controlling Lee her whole life. She's not just talented at her job, she's being puppeted by Satan, which is a hell of a performance review. That pun though. Yeah? The evidence is actually pretty solid. Lee acts robotic through most of the film. The FBI tests her abilities and she passes in this really unsettling way. She's distant, she's got memory gaps, and she makes these intuitive leaps that don't really make sense unless something else is feeding her information. At one point, she hides evidence from her partner, which is his birthday card from the killer, and just doesn't mention it. People think the doll wouldn't let her speak up. Then at the end, when the orb gets destroyed, black smoke pours out and Lee suddenly shows actual emotion. For that moment, she's basically running on autopilot. One person on Reddit even said that she moved through the film like a doll herself, which is pretty on the nose and a little bit of a stretch, but there is some truth there. The idea that the main character's entire life has been dictated by a cursed toy is disturbing enough, but it's worse when you realize that her mom's deal didn't save her, it just handed her over. But at least Lee had an excuse for being manipulated, because the woman in our next movie walked straight into a trap that was designed specifically for her. The substance is about Elizabeth, this aging fitness star played by Demi Moore. She gets fired from her show because she's ugly. Just kidding, she's just old. She looks fine for her age. Real nice. So she gets this mysterious drug called the substance black tar heroin, and it's supposed to make her look young again, and it works. Sort of. She injects it and births a younger version of herself named Sue from her own spine. Yes, from her spine. The movie doesn't fuck around. Now, there are rules here. You switch bodies every 7 days. You take stabilizer shots. You don't get greedy. But Elizabeth and Sue don't follow the rules because of course they don't. It's a horror movie. Sue stays in the young body too long. Elizabeth turns into a rotting nightmare, and by the end they fuse into this monster that shouldn't exist. It's real feel-good stuff. But here's the thing. People think that the company selling the substance wanted this to happen. They think Elizabeth was a test subject and the whole disaster was part of the plan. The supplier guy gives Elizabeth warnings, but they're very vague. He says don't stay too long in the other body, but never really explains why or what happens if you do. He also keeps selling her stabilizer fluid and is watching her spiral. He's profiting off her desperation while withholding the one piece of information that might just save her. Now that feels intentional. Plus, Elizabeth was the perfect target, a celebrity who got discarded by Hollywood, terrified of aging, and vain enough to take this risk. The company probably knew that she would break the rules. They might have even been monitoring her the whole time. There's this nurse character who warns Elizabeth about the substance in a way that feels a little too specific, like she knows what's about to come. And in the final act, where Elizabeth turns into a monster on live TV, that is not a failure of this product. That is the result. They got their data, they got to see what happens when someone violates the protocol, and Elizabeth wasn't unlucky. She was a lab rat. Now, a corporation ruining your life is one thing. We are used to that on a day-to-day basis. But now let's talk about possessed dolls. Oddity is this Irish horror movie about a blind woman named Darcy who's trying to figure out who killed her twin sister Danny. To do that, she's dragging around a life-sized wooden mannequin, which already feels like a red flag for how this investigation's gonna go. But here's the thing, the mannequin can move on its own, and people are pretty convinced that Danny's ghost is inside it, helping Darcy hunt down the guy who murdered her. So Darcy's a medium, right? She touches old haunted stuff and gets visions. It's a very useful skill for someone who can't see. This wooden man that she's got, well, it's not just her part-time boyfriend. It was a gift from her dead mom, who apparently got it from a witch, So we're already off to a great start in terms of family heirlooms. Yes, they have an ancient blow-up doll that is made of wood. I am not being sarcastic. The director even said that the mannequin helps her catch her sister's killer, which is a weird way to phrase it if it's just a prop. You don't say a chair helps you sit down. You just sit. Well, maybe you do. Like you that I'm pointing to. You're kind of weird, so you might do that. But most people, you just sit. But this thing, well, it's got a job. Throughout the movie, the mannequin keeps showing up in places Darcy didn't put it. And when she finally tracks down Ted, the guy who killed Danny, the wooden man comes to life and goes after him. Just full on stalks him through a dark house. And here's what's creepy about this theory. If Danny's spirit is in there, that means Darcy's been hauling her dead sister around in a wooden body this whole time. She's just casually transporting a very angry ghost to different crime scenes. The mannequin only attacks Ted, nobody else, and once he's dead, it stops moving, which feels less like random ghost behavior and more like someone settling a personal score. Some people even think that Darcy's spirit joined the mannequin after she dies, so now both twins are just stuck in wooden furniture forever. Now, instead of being haunted by wooden men, what if you were haunted by killer clowns? Well, Terrifier 3 has the main character named Sienna, who's been dealing with Art the Clown for 2 movies now. It's technically 3 because in the first one, we don't actually see Sienna, but in the third Terrifier, we see a flashback to when she was a little girl, so Art's been around dealing with them for a while. Anyways, the clown's a bad guy, and his name's Art, and he's been pretty dedicated to making her life a living nightmare. But people started noticing something after the third movie. What they noticed was that Sienna's dad died before any of this started, and he was obsessed with Art the Clown. Like he drew him constantly in a sketchbook. Very normal father behavior, right? Well, some fans are convinced that Art is her father. The director, Damien Leone, won't confirm it or answer my Instagram messages. Come on, man. We should hang out sometime. But he won't deny it either. He just called it the big theory, and he said that he hates it, which honestly starts to make it a little bit more believable. So here's what we know. Sienna's dad, Michael Shaw, had a brain tumor and started acting violent and weird right before he died. Then he crashed his car into a power plant and supposedly died, but they never found a body, which of course they didn't, because in horror movie terms, that means he's definitely not dead. But here's where it gets bad. Extreme electrical burns can dehydrate a body and make someone look gaunt and pale. And Art the Clown kind of looks like a corpse that got left in the microwave. Plus, Art specifically targets Sienna and her little brother Jonathan. It's not always random victims. He specifically goes after those two. And the only weapon that can hurt Art, probably the most important part of this theory, is a sword that their dad made by drawing it in a book. So there's this weird connection between them that nobody has explained yet. Theory is that when Michael crashed, he didn't die. He either got possessed by something demonic or he transformed into Art. And now he's hunting his own kids, which is pretty dark even for a movie where a clown saws people in half. Sienna and Jonathan saw Art up close and didn't recognize him, but Art's face is completely messed up. It's covered in face paint. Actually, I don't even know if it is face paint. It might actually be like his skin. Someone fact check that, please. I don't know. He just looks messed up, but at least Art's a little upfront about it, because our next killer had help and nobody even noticed, and now everyone will suffer. In a Violent Nature is about teens in the woods getting slaughtered by this undead guy named Johnny. It's a pretty standard slasher setup, except the ending was so quiet and unresolved that people started walking away thinking that someone was working with Johnny the whole time, either one of the teens or maybe that nice older woman who shows up at the end. Someone knew what was happening and they let it happen. So Johnny's backstory is he was a kid who loved his mom and she gave him this little locket. Then he died, got buried in the woods, and the locket was hung over his grave. This is very sweet and very sentimental until a group of dumb teenagers steals it for fun and Johnny wakes up and starts killing everyone. The theory is his mom put a curse on that locket before she died. Like, whoever's gonna mess with my son's grave is gonna have a bad time. And it worked. But here is the weird part. Johnny doesn't kill everybody. He ignores people who show respect. And at the end, there's this woman who helps the main girl, Chris, and people were convinced that she was going to reveal herself as being in on it. But the movie never does that. But the tension's there. The fact that Johnny's resurrection feels so planned makes people think someone orchestrated the whole thing. Maybe that woman was Johnny's mom's follower, leading the victims to the woods. Maybe she's the mom's ghost in a human body. The movie doesn't answer it, which just makes the theory stronger. There's also the possibility that one of the teens was a traitor, someone who knew about the curse and brought the group there on purpose, because the way everything unfolds feels a little too convenient. It's too planned, and the ending's so unnervingly calm that it feels like the bad guys won. Johnny got what he wanted, and whoever was helping him just walked away clean. But now let's move on to one of my favorite movies I watched last year, Mads. Mads is a French horror movie shot in one continuous take. It involves 3 friends on one night, and there are zombies everywhere. Except people watched this and came away thinking the zombies might not be real after all. The movie starts with a guy named Romain buying drugs drugs from his dealer. And this stuff is new stuff. It's untested. Him and his friends, Anise and Julia, all take some at a party, and then things go sideways fast. Romain picks up this woman who's bleeding everywhere, and people at the party start acting violent. And soon, there's infected people chasing them through the streets. It is a standard zombie outbreak, but there is a catch. All three of them ingest blood while they're high. The movie makes a good point of showing this too. Romain gets blood in his mouth, Anais touches an infected wound, and Julia gets splattered. Some movie watchers straight up said that this movie plays out like a bad trip, which I agree with. Fans ran with it, and I agree with that. But some fans ran with that idea. What if the entire outbreak is just them hallucinating while the drug messes with their heads? The evidence gets weirder too. There are hazmat soldiers showing up way too fast, like unnaturally fast. Like, let's be honest, governments don't do shit quickly. Government response teams do not move that quick, and the infected act way over the top. They're laughing maniacally, their eyes are glowing under lights, and it all feels a little too theatrical. Plus, the movie's called Madness. The title's basically telling you what is happening. And the really dark part of this theory? Well, if it's all a hallucination, that means that these three kids might be killing real people while thinking that they're zombies. The movie never shows anyone outside the group reacting to the infected the same way, really. It's always one of them finding a body, seeing the chaos, and freaking out. Nobody else really is witnessing what they're seeing, and the one-shot gimmick makes it feel even more trapped in their perspective. There are no cuts, no breaks, just their distorted reality for 90 minutes straight, just like a bad trip. There is no looking away. There is no waking up. But now let's move on to the theory that we, humans, decided to cause an alien invasion because we're too annoying. The aliens in A Quiet Place hunt by sound. That's the whole thing. You know it. You make noise, you die. They showed up in meteors one day and started killing everyone. It seemed random, but fans noticed something that changes the entire premise. The aliens don't really eat people. They just kill anything loud and leave the body there. They're not hunting for food. They're hunting because they hate noise. A Quiet Place Day 1 takes place during the initial invasion, and it drops some details people latched onto. The aliens brought their own plants with them, alien vegetation that starts growing everywhere after the meteors hit. That is not an accident. That's terraforming and proof that they planned this, and if they planned to colonize Earth, that means they chose us specifically. Out of every planet in the universe, they picked this one. Why? Well, we're loud. Constantly. Cities, cars, planes, radio signals blasting into space 24/7. Your brother eating his cereal next to you. That, you probably just clicked off this video listening to that. We are loud people. And these aliens are sensitive to sound to the point where high frequencies physically hurt them. Earth's noise level would be torture. Fans think that we basically advertised ourselves across the galaxy. Every broadcast we sent out, every satellite signal, it was all just screaming into the void. And something on the other end of that void heard it. And that something decided that we need to shut up permanently. I hope the Quiet Place aliens come and get my haters. Right, guys? Right? I'm just kidding. I don't really have haters. And if you do hate me, how's it going? I hope you're having a good day today. The movie never confirms this outright, but the clues are there. Scientists in the film mention detecting something before the invasion. News reports talk about how coordinated the attacks seem. The aliens ignore quiet areas completely. They went straight for sports stadiums, highways, your dad's bedroom when he's sleeping, anywhere with crowds. It wasn't random. They targeted the loudest spots on purpose. If this theory's right, humanity's downfall wasn't bad luck. We practically invited them. Every car alarm, every concert, every screaming match with your mother outside a 7-Eleven at 2 in the morning. We were basically daring them to show up. But now let's move on to The Platform, specifically the sequel, The Platform 2. The Platform is about people getting trapped in a vertical prison. The first movie ends with a guy sacrificing himself to send a little girl up to the top as a message to the people running the place. It's very helpful and very inspirational, but it turns out the sequel reveals that was a complete fucking waste of time and that guy was a dumb nincompoop poop head. The Platform 2 is actually a prequel, and it's set a year before the first movie, and the ending destroys everything you thought was good about the original. We see the administration, the people running this prison, take a child and deliberately put her into the pit on purpose. That little girl everyone thought was proof the system could be beaten, yet the people in charge put her there. She wasn't hope, she was bait. Fans pieced this together and realized that the first guy's whole sacrifice meant nothing. The administration knew there was a child in the system because they're the ones who put her there. They probably expected some inmate to try and save her. Maybe they wanted to see if prisoners would unite to protect the kid. Maybe they just wanted to see what would happen. Either way, when the main character sent her up as a message, they probably just took her and threw her back down with the next batch of prisoners. parents, because this cycle never breaks. The platform 2 makes this pretty clear. The revolutionaries in that movie try to distribute food equally, and it fails. Everyone dies, the system wins, and in the final scene, you see a child being taken by guards and placed back into the prison. The administration is still experimenting and still testing. No matter what the prisoners do, it doesn't matter. The people at the top control everything. They introduced the child. They knew what would happen, and the main character's moment of hope in the first movie was just another data point for them to scribble down. But now, let's talk about the monkey. Guys, I'm recording this so late, my mind is gone. I just think of the word monkey and it makes me laugh. Like, monkey. That's all you got. That's all I got today. All right. Subscribe for monkey. Anyways, Stephen King wrote a story about a cymbal clapping toy monkey that kills people. If you're not aware, and go monkey! 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 The movie follows twin brothers, Hal and Bill, who found this monkey as kids. And every time it claps its cymbals, someone dies. Their parents died, their aunt died, my inner child died. Anyone close to them just keeps dying whenever this thing goes off. It is standard cursed object stuff, but fans think the monkey isn't cursed at all. They think the family's doing the murders themselves. The monkey is just something their brains made up to deal with it. See, Hal and Bill's dad had serious mental problems before he died. He crashed his car into a power plant. No body was ever found, which feels important because, again, say it with me now, if you don't find the body in the horror movie, are they really dead? Nope. They always come back. Anyways, the brothers grew up traumatized, watched their parents die in freak accidents, and now they're both convinced that this toy is responsible. Bill then becomes obsessed with the idea that whoever winds the monkey can't be killed by it. He starts doing dangerous things to test this. Hal thinks Bill's losing his mind. Their whole family has a history of mental illness, so the theory is that one or both of them are causing these deaths during some kind of break from reality. And they're blaming the monkey because it's easier than accepting that they're dangerous. Also, the twins are played by the same actor, which kind of makes it weird. I hate when movies do that. I hate it. Just get someone that's similar-ish. Don't have to be identical twins. I hate when that happens. Maybe I'm just too stupid to understand what I'm looking at, but everyone was raving on Sinners about how good it was, and I was trying to like it, and I just can't get over the fact that there's the same guy plays the brothers. Just pick another person, please. I'm too dumb to follow along otherwise. I'm sorry. I feel like it's a valid crash out. If I'm crazy, let me know. Here's the thing that makes this theory stick. You don't ever see the monkey actually do anything. You see people die, but like the monkey isn't physically causing it. It's like a Final Destination type thing. You see the body, you see it explode, and it's always one of the brothers who finds the victims. The movie's director even joked the monkey represents God, which is crazy. Can you imagine monkey God? Monkey Jesus? Anyways, moving on. Theo James, who plays Hal, said he liked the shared delusion theory even though the movie treats the monkey as real. The ending doesn't help because Hal decides they have to keep the monkey with them forever so they always know where it is, which sounds less like defeating a curse and more like accepting that you can't escape yourself and you're like holding repressed trauma in. So those are some of the craziest horror movie theories out there. Let me know which ones you hate, let me know which ones you like, and comment down below other ones that you have that you want me to dive into. Do not comment that the chicken jockey is an allegory for the Great Gatsby. Someone did that in the last video. I don't know where you came from. That's not even a horror movie. Anyways, like this video, enjoyed watching it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this and hit the hype button so this video gets shown to more people, which means you can make more friends because more of those people will comment. We all need new friends. I do. You might. I don't know. What's your social life like? Who knows? Anyways, if you want to watch another one of these videos, you can click the video on screen now. I'm going to go to bed and have dreams about a monkey apparently.